Sure. Here's a script for a video about the slaying of Black Wall Street, 1921, for your horror and disturbing history channel. Opening scene, dramatic music plays, dim lighting, old photos of Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the 1920s. Narrator, VO. In the early 20th century, there was a place, a shining example of Black excellence. It was a thriving, prosperous community where African Americans lived, worked, and dreamed of a better future. That place was Black Wall Street, a district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that became known as one of the wealthiest African American communities in the United States. Cut to black and white footage of Tulsa streets showing bustling life in the 1920s. Narrator VO. The Greenwood District was more than just a neighborhood. It was a symbol of resilience, independence, and success. It had theaters, restaurants, schools, hospitals, even its own transportation system, everything that a thriving community could need. But in May 1921, that dream would come to a brutal and violent end. And what followed remains one of the darkest chapters in American history. Cut to black and white footage of a police officer, then transition to the morning of the tragedy. Narrator, VO. It all started with an incident that would spark a catastrophic chain of events, an alleged altercation between a black man, Dick Rowland, and a white woman, Sarah Page. Rowland, a 19-year-old shoe shiner, was accused of assaulting Page in an elevator. Details remain unclear, but the accusation was enough to ignite the fury of a white mob. Cut to old newspaper headlines screaming about the incident. Narrator, VO. Tulsa's tense racial climate exploded into violence when rumors spread that Rowland had assaulted Page. Without waiting for the truth to be discovered, an angry white mob gathered outside the courthouse, demanding Rowland's lynching. Cut to footage of a large crowd gathering, slowly building the tension. Narrator, VO. But the black community of Greenwood, determined to protect one of their own, stood their ground. A group of black residents, including war veterans, rushed to the courthouse to ensure Rowland's safety. What began as a small standoff soon escalated into something unimaginable. Cut to newspaper clippings and dramatic reenactments showing the first shots fired. Narrator, VO. Shots were fired, and in an instant, the tension became full-scale violence. The white mob, now armed, attacked the black community with a vengeance. For the next 18 hours, Greenwood would be set ablaze. Cut to a slow-motion image of a house burning, with smoke filling the air. Narrator, VO. The flames consumed homes, businesses, and entire blocks. The National Guard was called in, not to protect the black residents, but to help quell the supposed riot and restore order. The violence was so overwhelming that by the end of the day, over 1,000 homes had been destroyed, and up to 300 black men, women, and children lost their lives. Cut to footage of historical photos showing the aftermath of the destruction, charred ruins, damaged buildings. Narrator, VO. Yet, in the aftermath of the massacre, the devastation was not the only thing swept under the rug. The true scale of the massacre was hidden for decades. The survivors were left with nothing. No compensation, no justice. Thousands of people were displaced, but the perpetrators walked free. Cut to footage of Black Wall Street's community today, empty streets with people standing in front of plaques or historical markers. Narrator, VO. For years, the story of Black Wall Street was buried, ignored by the very history books that are meant to preserve the truth. In fact, it wasn't until the late 20th century that people started to talk about what happened on that fateful day. Cut to footage of modern-day protests and activism in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Narrator, VO. In the wake of the massacre, survivors and their families fought to bring the story to light, to demand justice. And as we continue to seek truth, the memory of Black Wall Street and the atrocity committed against its people still echoes, a painful reminder of how deeply hate can destroy. Cut to a solemn image of the Greenwood Cultural Center today. honoring the victims. Narrator, VO. The Tulsa Race Massacre is a tragic example of the length some will go to in their attempt to erase a people's history. But Black Wall Street's legacy lives on, not just in the ruins of what was lost, but in the resilience of a community that refuses to be forgotten. Closing scene. Black screen with white text, remembering Greenwood, justice for all. Narrator, VO. This is the story of the slaying of Black Wall Street, a story that should never be silenced. Impact of this tragedy. You can adjust the tone depends.